Hey, would you like to see how to add effects to your buttons in BizStackPro? I'm going to show you how. Stick with me. Here we go. Now, before we get started, let me talk about cascading style sheets. That's basically the style that you'll see applied to some emails. All websites today are stylized by cascading style sheets, or CSS for short. And that's how we're going to do it here. Okay, so let's get started. So before we do, let's talk about it real quick. CSS means cascading style sheets. And that's how things are made to look pretty on the internet these days. Most everything you see has a cascading style sheet somewhere behind it or as the effect of it. So let's get started real quick. I'm going to switch to my computer, and hold on, let me get over there and let's see if we can make it work right. All right, here we go. So now we're looking at my computer, and let me turn on my mouse so that you can see my mouse real quick. Hold on just a second. All right, so now here we are. And you see I basically have a little page set up with another section that says this is a test area, and we're going to add a button now. And the easiest way to do that is to, let me come over here, buttons, and I like just to add this plain old blue button, and then we can make it look better. All right, now you probably don't want your button to be as wide as your section, and I don't either. So let's go take a look at that real quick. We're looking at the button, and we're going to, let's just make some changes all around while we're at it. First off, my button font size, that is way too small, so I'm going to move that up to about 20. All right, and then we're going to, semi-bold is fine. It's using the headline font, that's great. I'm going to leave the alignment center. This is the text color and the text subtext color. We're going to leave that at white. Let's keep on going down. I will change this padding, but we'll come back to that a little bit later on as we go through it. And we're going to put a call to action here, like click here. And what are we going to do? We're going to leave this alone for now. All right, animations. Now the only animation we have for buttons are entrance and hover. But the hover is not very much. So if we were to hover over it and do this, look, it just wobbles a little bit, and that's not very pretty. And then elevate, that's not very pretty either. So let's just ignore those, and we're going to add our own effects to it. Now here we go. What else do we want to do? We don't want our button to be as wide as its container. So that would be either the entire section, or that could be a part of a column, or whatever else you want. But what I like to do is to make it fluid, and that way it gives you just a little bit on each side all around the button, and that is actually part of the padding of the button. Okay, what else do we want to do? We're going to come down, and we're going to give it a border. It's going to have a full border. It's solid, and I'm going to make this probably 3 pixels, and the border radius, I like a border radius, so we'll make it 4 for now. And if we do that, you can't really tell. Let's go change our border color. Advanced. All right. Border width. This is our border color here. Let's, just because we need to be able to see it, let's give it black. All right. Now, we've already looking at it, and we can see that if we look at the button, that border is not quite big enough for the size of the button. So let's come back just a little bit, and we're going to bring it up a little bit. Advanced, and go back to border. And let's say instead of 3, let's go to 5 pixels. And then that's pretty good. Now, this is just a quick and dirty. So normally I would do something much more better, much prettier than this black button. Now you could also make that the same color as your button so that you can affect a button or the border later. I'll tell you what, let's make it red. Ooh, that's kind of ugly too. If we stick with a blue button, I'll tell you what, that's ugly. Man, it's just all ugly. All right, let's go with the blue button. We're going to do black border just for now because that's where we're at. Okay, so there we have. Now remember I talked about changing the padding around it. To me, the top and bottom padding looks a little bit more than I want to deal with. So I'm going to go change that padding to maybe 10. And then change the bottom padding to 10. And I think that's a better looking button to me. Of course, we would make the colors all different, but we're going to ignore the colors today. All right, so what we want is we want to be able to change the effect of maybe the font on the title of the button. So we can change that font color whenever you mouse over it. And let me teach you how to do that. The first thing we need to do is we need to get the attributes of this button. So we're going to get on the button, we're going to go to Advanced and scroll all the way down to where it says the CSS selector. Now let's move our little chat window out of the way here. And you can hit this to copy it, or you could do the old school copy and paste like that. I'm just going to hit this. Okay, now come all the way up to the top left to the paintbrush, and that's custom CSS. Now, what we want to do, this is for another button I have in place. Let's get rid of that so it's not messing you up right now. All right, so we want to paste in our CSS selector color, name. And we're going to erase the pound sign, and we're going to change it to .c. So C button is what we're looking for. And then we need to open it with a brace, and then we're going to make our effect here. So what we could say is, actually, let's go back over here. So we're going to say on hover. So when someone mouses over it, that's called a hover. And what do we want to do? We want to change the color. And you can make the color either a hexadecimal value, or you could just do something like black. And we always end each line inside of CSS with the semicolon, and then we're done. So we can close it, close our brace. So that was easy, right? Let's save it. Now, anytime we mouse over it, look, it changes the color. Now you can do other things too. We could change the background color. Let me show you how to do that. So we're going to leave the color black, and we're going to, let's say we're going to do a background color, and end it with a colon. And then what do we want the background color of the button to be when we mouse over it? We can just make that white, and now we're going to save that. All right, now what happens? That's not too bad, is it? All right, now one other thing well, there's actually a couple other things that we need to do. One of them is I like to do a little bit of a elevation, not really an elevation, a zoom. Let's call it a zoom. So it's called a transform of scale, but we're going to call it a zoom. So when you do it, it's actually going to zoom out a little bit or zoom in, make it bigger. So let's go change that too. Back to the paintbrush. Come over here, and we're going to say transform, and we're going to move the scale up 1 to 1.2. I really like 1.1, but I'm going to show you 1.2 just so you can see how big it is, really. How dramatic it is. Sorry about that. And 1.2, and then we'll save this. All right. See how it zooms it in a bit? And lastly, I'm going to show you something else that I like to do. I like to slow that effect down to make it more dramatic. Now, you can make these changes as crazy as you'd like, or as drastic as you like. But I'll tell you honestly, less is more when we're talking about web effects. I'm sure you've been to these websites where they have everything in the world going on, and it's really distracting. And that's not something that we want, especially on a professional website, right? So let me show you one more effect that I like to do, and then we're going to polish it up just a little bit. All right, one more effect that I like to do is I like to come back up here, and we're going to do another effect, but it's not a hover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ahead of this. All right, and then this effect is we're going to call it, it's called transition duration. Transition, T-I-O-N dash duration. And we want the whole duration of each action to be 0.4 seconds. Semicolon, and then we're going to close it. All right. See how it slowed it down? That's pretty nice. So let's save it and go look at it. All right. That's a pretty nice button. I would change the colors a little bit. In fact, I usually do on my stuff. but I just wanted you to see what you could do using CSS effects on a button. Now you could also do the same effects a little bit. You could do some effects on a picture as well. So if you were using an image as a button right here, you could do that same transition duration. You could slow it down, and you could also do a hover. So what you're doing then is you're transforming the scale of a picture. So I'll give you examples of those in the description of this video, so you can go look at different sites that I've done and see some of the different effects. All right, if you want to see more stuff like this, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Wherever you're seeing this video, make sure you subscribe to it. Also, make sure that you check out the links that I'm going to give you in this description. Actually, you can go to theplayground.andydelgado.com/button tutorial, not button test, and you'll see everything I've done here step by step and the effect each one has on a button. All right, that's it for now. Let me switch back to me so I can say goodbye to you. Hold on just a second. All right, so that's it for now. Listen, I hope that you get some value in this. If you do, make sure you do the like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Anyone that needs to see or wants to see how to do effects on a button in BizStackPro. I'll talk to you later. Be blessed. Bye-bye.